This is why we elected President Donald Trump. What you are about to witness in the next couple of days, and what we saw these last couple of days, is exactly why we put the man back into the arena. As Teddy Roosevelt famously said, it's the man in the arena that counts. And President Trump is proving the contrast between a administrative state-managed president that moves slow and is bureaucratic and is subservient to the expert class like we saw under Joe Biden, and a president that has agility, vim, vigor, tenacity, focus, and yes, stamina. We are seeing a massive change in the geopolitical order for the better. And let's recap. One of the major news stories over the weekend, and the media was trying to build a problem, but of course they don't give President Trump any credit for the solution. Of course, we covered this briefly last week, and that is in a part of the world that most Americans could not pinpoint on a map, there very well could have been, low likelihood, but could have been a nuclear war. Two nuclear powers were getting closer and closer to a very bloody war after hundreds and hundreds of years, nearly thousands of years of pent-up conflict between the two nations, India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan were barreling towards a war. The media was talking all about it. They were saying, hey, this could be a nuclear war. We could have a nuclear Armageddon. India has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Fighter jets were being shot down. This was serious stuff on Friday evening. And boom, right into the arena. President Trump and J.D. Vance broker a peace settlement. Now, if on Friday you were talking about how a major war was looming in the Kashmir region, but on Sunday you were not giving President Trump for ending the war, you are the problem. President Trump helped broker a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, and again, might have saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Imagine Putin invading Ukraine under President Trump. Joe Biden would have armed India. Joe Biden would have said, well, there's really nothing we could do. We're going to move very slow. We're going to be very methodical about it. And hundreds of thousands of people could have unnecessarily died. Play cut 188.
And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed. So I'm very proud of that. I also want to thank...
minor detail. We solved a major war between two nations that bitterly hate each other, with fighter jets being shot down and military bases that were struck. Just kind of minor details. We solved that. And then he moved on, of course, to a major announcement. So we solved a nuclear war on Saturday, Sunday, and then on Monday, major announcement today. President Donald Trump reaching a sudden surprise tariff truce with China. 90-day pause that brings tariffs down from 30% down to 30% from nearly 150%. President Trump is structuring a phenomenal America First winning trade deal, all the while juggling the 900 different other portfolio issues. President Donald Trump is about to head to the Middle East tomorrow. On Air Force One, he will fly to the Middle East. He's going to go to Saudi Arabia. He's going to go to Qatar. I think he's going to the UAE. He's doing all the major Arab powers, which increasingly is a power center on the planet. And while President Trump is doing that, he says, hey, Putin and Zelensky, in case you guys want to meet, I can easily take a detour from Riyadh and go up to Istanbul. I mean, think about this. This is the way an entrepreneur thinks. Yeah, look, if I need a detour and reroute, the Secret Service, they'll figure it out. I'll go to Istanbul and I'll meet with you guys. You understand how unique this is? Typically, when U.S. foreign policy is done, those sort of summits are months in the making, maybe even years in the making. To sit down with the leader of Russia and the head of Ukraine to meet face to face, and President Donald Trump, in a moment's notice, sends out a Truth Social. Yeah, I'll just swing on by. I'll play dad. I will negotiate. I will facilitate. I will referee this conversation. And I'll say, nope, you're lying. Nope, you're lying. Come on, Zelensky, do this. Vlad, take the deal. And I'll just do that in between of brokering Middle East peace as well. And oh, by the way, today Hamas has released the last American Israeli hostage. That's right. There was still an American being held hostage by Hamas. released by Hamas as President Trump was coming to the Middle East. And that is no coincidence, by the way. It's no coincidence. President Trump coming to the Middle East, and he's going to Qatar in particular. It would be a very bad look that anybody that has any sort of ties to the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, President Trump would have said, hey, bring our boy home, Eden Alexander, an American citizen and an Israeli passport holder, held hostage by Hamas, released by Hamas. So we prevent a nuclear war. We get an American hostage back. We are potentially going to see the Istanbul summit, which, by the way, is where the original breakdown of this entire war happened, when Tony Blinken and Boris Johnson went to Istanbul and told the Russian Federation, actually, no, we're not going to settle for peace, for land for peace. We want to see this war continue. The Russian-Ukrainian war could have ended 10 days in Istanbul, and hundreds of thousands of people would still be alive, and millions of people would still be in their homes. So the warmongering machine under Washington, D.C., and former President Joe Biden said, no, we're going to reject that deal. So it is beautifully ironic and a point of completion to go back to Istanbul to hopefully end the war. And then we have the China deal, as I've mentioned. On top of that, President Donald Trump revealed a new executive order aimed at slashing prescription drug prices by ordering the federal government to seek to pay no more than other countries do for their drugs. And then, as President Trump has come to the Middle East, he says, I want to try to have an expansion of the Abraham Accords and bring peace to the Middle East. I'm sorry, everybody. That 3 days, you got more done in those 3 days than anything I could think of for the betterment of the world under George W. Bush, Barack Obama, or Joe Biden. Preventing a nuclear war, facilitating Zelensky and Putin, getting a hostage released, signing an executive order on prescription drugs. All the while, by the way, our southern border is totally secure. We're getting no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, major middle-class tax cut. And despite what the left says, President Trump actually might raise taxes on the wealthy, something that, look, I kind of shrug my shoulders. I say, if I pay more taxes, but I get less debts or deficits, fine, so be it. Doing a monster deal with one big, beautiful bill. Deregulation, oil prices are down, egg prices are down, inflation is going down. The market, by the way, is up nearly 1,000 points today. And you pause and you say, who's criticizing President Trump again? This is why we got him elected. For this reason. The energy that it takes this week is going to be a masterclass, and we will be here in studio following every single element of this. This is Trump at his best. When Trump is playing offense, when Trump is thinking creatively, when Trump is doing deal after deal after deal, when Trump is in the arena. Honestly, I've always said for a while, Trump is better when he travels than when he stays put. When he travels, his mind is going. It's a life force for him. When he is seeing people, meeting people, he leans into the situation. Some people do better when they're just kind of cooped up in their office. Some people do better when they're doing desk work. President Trump takes it into another gear. And I, as someone who travels a lot, I get that. When you're traveling, there's a velocity, there's a momentum. And this is how deals get done. And just to think, could you imagine the people at the CIA and the deep state saying, what do you mean you're just going to detour and go to Istanbul? That's right. That's how peace is brokered. And can you imagine when the history books are written, if President Trump ends up detouring to Istanbul, there is no pre-meeting conditions. There is no kind of well, we have to make sure that all these little details are out, just kind of swing and pop on by. This is Trump at his best. By the way, he's about to have a phone call with Xi Jinping as well. All of this simultaneously, it is fair to say President Trump is running the world and running the world for the better. Less war, more lives saved, better trade deals, American workers first. The invasion is over on our southern border. And that's only in a couple hours, everybody. And it's only going to get better.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.